This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us very special guests from Circles and Ciphers, Shayne and Marko. How are you today, Shayne and Marko?
Good, we're doing great. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, and we're so glad to have you with us on WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM today, because there is so much good work that the Circles and Ciphers is doing. And first, for our Wizard listeners who do not know anything about Circles and Ciphers, please tell us the mission of Circles and Ciphers and what has been the greatest challenge in achieving your mission.
Um, oh, go ahead, Marko.
Yeah, Circles and Ciphers is a restorative justice organization that's based out of the north side of Chicago, inside the Rogers Park neighborhood. And our mission is that we work with kids who have been incarcerated, who have been formerly incarcerated, that's currently incarcerated. And we give them space where they can be in community, space where they can come in, to feel that family vibe, to record music. We give them opportunities to get paid. And we really just support them as a community as a whole. Because a lot of these youth ages 14 to 29, a lot of their families forgot about them, and they don't get this kind of support once they get out of jail. So I feel like the work that we do is very important.
Mhm. And what about the greatest challenge in achieving this work?
I would say it's probably getting people to understand what restorative justice and abolition is. Like, I had a conversation with someone a couple of days ago, actually, and they were under the assumption that abolition means, oh, just let people do what they want to do and give them a slap on the wrist, when that's really not what it's about. But it's about investing in practices that foster human growth as well as community, walking with people, breaking bread with people, making sure that folks have the necessary resources that they need to survive, because what's really deep rooted within the issues that the young people that we serve face, it's a lack of resources. And so couple a lack of resources countered with encountering people in your life constantly that you feel like just don't care about you, it's easy to commit harm, versus coming to us and us giving you that space and us putting you on to different forms of art that allows you to get that anger out and frustration out in a healthy way versus committing harm. So that's what we do. That's been a challenge, but we're getting through.
Mhm. Well, it sounds like it's a really good work, because you're teaching the youth to express their anger and their problems in art. That helps their communication skills, and that, of course, helps them in their future careers as well. Do you have any stories to share about youth that have been with Circles and Ciphers and then found a great job?
Yeah. Because at one point I was one of these participants that was coming in. And when I first came to Circles and Ciphers, when I first discovered us, I was just really, just coming for the hip hop aspect because I love making music. But then as soon as I came and I started to learn about the restorative justice factor, and just the mission, um, and just everything that we stood for, was kind of like a turning point, like where I started to understand like the incarceral system and just like how this whole system just works against like Black men, you know, and Black people in general. And that the whole government is just like set up, like this capitalistic society is like set up for us to be at the bottom. So once I started to learn about all this stuff, it kind of just opened my mind. And, you know, so I went like from, you know, just a participant, like that was just coming for the hip hop aspect, like to like a youth leader, like to now, like I'm the manager of Copper Studios, which is the recording studio that's at Circles and Ciphers. So just like seeing my transition from being a participant that's from the inner city that just love hip hop, to now to being a leader and, you know, and like getting the opportunity to help, you know, the same people that was just like me, I feel like it's a remarkable story within itself. So yeah.
Do you see
Yeah.
that? Oh, go ahead, Shayne.
Oh yeah. And I started out when I was like 22 at the time. You know, I still had a lot of anger issues that I needed to like work out. And at first, when I first learned about restorative justice, you know, I was against it at first. What about these types of people? Or what about that type of person? You know, but, you know, as I grew deeper to have a relationship with people who are working in this organization, you know, I got to learn different things like Marko said, socially, as well as things about myself in areas that I needed to grow in and things that I needed to forgive myself for, you know. So I've been in therapy for 2 years. And now I'm the social media and communications director. Yeah.
Yeah, from difficulty in communicating to like the top guy in communications at the organization. Awesome. Well, do you, the two of you, see patterns in your past experience and that connect with the new youth that come in? And if you do see the patterns, what are they, and how do the circles and ciphers address those patterns?
Yes. So I definitely notice similar things about my younger self within these young people. The way that I go about it, I try to walk with them as best as I can. We try to be in community with them, you know, and we try to avoid preaching, because one thing is that we acknowledge the wisdom of both elders and young people, you know, and we understand that like sometimes when you're in a certain stage in life, it's like you're not in a place where you're ready to hear certain things until you're ready to hear it, you know. And so it's sort of like, you know, we don't try to lead young people on their journey, we just walk with them, you know, because like we know what's needed, you know, and it's gonna be, and what's needed is you accepting the fact that like it's things in your life that you have to work on and grow from, you know, and heal from too, you know. And that is one thing that I see.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a big difference between leading and then walking with them, because then when they need your help, they'll ask for it, and then you could help. If you just like giving help, it might fall on deaf ears.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
Mhm.
important.
Mhm. When you say that there are youth that are currently incarcerated that you also help, how does that work?
Yeah, so we got this program that's called the Youth Care Collective. So the Youth Care Collective, what they do is they work with these incarcerated youth by sending them care packages. So inside these care packages is a whole bunch of information. They have like, different quotes and like affirmations from like notebooks, or just like different tools that they can use like while they're incarcerated. So we do that. We also, put money on their books, stuff like that, and just really just like show them support through the whole process. Sometimes if they need a lawyer or like they need like somebody to talk to, like with their situation and stuff like that, we can also help with that as well. But to be honest, I feel like the best thing like that we do is just really send those care packages and put that money on their books, because a lot of people that's in jail like don't have money. And it's like when you're in jail, like you need money because they charge you for everything. They charge you to use the phone, they charge you for toothpaste, they charge you for everything. So just imagine, like a young person that comes from a certain background that doesn't have like any money, just being inside that environment where they can't even like pay like for a toothbrush, or like pay, for water, or just like even like small things that we take for granted. So yeah, shout out to the Youth Care Collective for doing that work.
When the youth are in, just a side note, like when they're in the prisons and where they're in jail, and they have to pay for what they need. If you weren't giving them money, does that mean that they have to go without? Because a lot of you don't have any savings, and are they able to work in jail? Are they able to earn anything that they could use that money to buy the things they need in jail?
Yeah, so in jail, they do have jobs in jail, but the jobs that's in jail don't really pay that much. Like they probably get paid like a few like cents an hour. So it's gonna take a long time for them to make enough money to even pay for anything. And just going back to your first question on if we didn't give them money, then where the money would come from. Man, that's a good question, because I feel like a majority of people just go without, these necessities that they need, just because they don't have the money. Because at the end of the day, like if you don't have the money, then they don't care. Like they're not gonna like give you what you need. So it's that simple.
Wow. Well, thanks for bringing that out. I never knew that they can't even have the access to basic necessities in jail. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's the thing that and that is the thing that really radicalizes people, which is why prisons are so like horrible. You know what I'm saying? Which is why they're so horrible for like human beings, especially for like a young person. If you're 14, 15, just going in there, like to be an adolescent at an age where you're like developing in all different types of ways, but especially mentally. Like once it reaches your brain that like no one cares about you, it's just not a good thing.
Right. That's a very easy way to lose one's faith in humanity, and then just lose contact with humanity. However, when you do send your care packages, how are you able to send them to all the youth? How do you select which youth to send the care packages to?
So from my understanding, so I think YCC has a contact list that they kind of made over the years. So they just like send it to the people that's on the contact list. And there's a lot of people, because sometimes they'll send out like maybe like 100 care packages at a time, like maybe 50 care packages at a time. And they send it to everybody that's on their contact list. And like a lot of them, like they write us back, and like they they want to know more about circles and ciphers, and just like how they can get in contact with us, as soon as they get out of jail. So yeah, so it's really just through that contact list that we have made over the years.
Well, for our listeners who have loved ones, or maybe even there's someone who is incarcerated, who might be listening. I can't really imagine that. However, how would they be able to get on that contact list if they need your help?
Where they can contact us at circlesandciphers.org. Like they can send us an email there that we could respond to them and just let them know how we can support them in their situation or them and their families. Like there's a lot of people that email us, that come to us asking for help, and we always, just do the best to accommodate everybody. For example, like there's a couple people I know, that I grew up that got incarcerated, that's even incarcerated in different states, Wisconsin, Indiana, stuff like that. And like, we still send them care packages despite the fact that they're not in Illinois. So yeah, so if anybody just had any questions or wanted to get involved, I say just go to circlesandciphers.org, like Google us, follow us on Instagram, circles_ciphers, and just contact us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Also, the conditions, are they the same in Wisconsin and Indiana, where they have to pay for every basic essential?
So that's a good question. I think that every single state is different, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same. So if it's different, it'll just probably just be a couple things, but the whole like concept of how, the inmates have to pay for things is still the same. But it's just that in some states, they may charge more for certain things. In other states, they may get this, but not get that. But overall, the whole system, for the whole country is messed up, from jails to prisons, it's pretty much all the same for the most part.
Well, how do you do your outreach? Because let's say you mentioned before that there are current and formerly incarcerated youth that do not have families supporting them. How they have families that could reach out to you to help, that's easier. But what about those that don't have the families to support them? And we know that you are helping them as well. So how do you do your outreach in order to reach those youth?
Well, so a couple of things. Number one, the young people will come to us, or what happens is somebody that person knows comes to us and says, this person needs your help, But in terms of like outreach, we do work with other partner organizations, and sometimes we get connected with young people who may need the resources that we just so happen to have to offer. So it's other organizations. We've hosted workshops. We just did hip hop and diverse paths to healing. We just did that like earlier this summer. So that was nice. So yeah, sometimes we'll go to an event. Sometimes we'll go to an event or an open mic, any of those things. But mainly, if the young people are coming to us, they usually attend one of our circles for the first time.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Could you share with us some of the stories about how Circles and Ciphers changed the lives of some of these youth?
Go ahead, Marko.
Yeah. So one quick story that I can say that happened last month is that we had a group of individuals that came to us, I think around maybe April. And they were interested in music, like they were interested in getting inside the studio and stuff like that. They've been incarcerated, finding, different cases throughout the years and stuff. And they discovered us and they discovered our studio. So they went to Kava Studios, they started recording music. They started coming like almost like every single week, every single Tuesday and Thursday, they was in that studio. You know what I'm saying? So they was in the studio, like just recording, like working on their craft. So they went to recording to like just, you know, last month in July, like they performed in front of 1,000 people, you know, that was in a big conference inside this big restorative justice conference that happened last year. Last month. You know, so just like seeing them like in April, like just like these young people that were so passionate about music and didn't know what was going to be their next step and just didn't know how to find a studio. So from going from that to be able to be on the stage that's that big is crazy. So I feel like the stories like that and just like seeing like different things like that, you know, it's so humbling. And like, you know, like this is the whole point of the work that we do, you know, is that we want to give people the opportunity to be on big stages that wouldn't get that, you know, those same opportunities because of their background and because of how people judge them, because they don't humanize them. They feel like they're just prisoners or like bad people or scum of the earth, you know. So it just really warms my heart when those type of people are able to get on those stages. You know, like I said, like this is something that just happened last month, you know what I'm saying? So it's like still recent. So yeah.
That's great. Shayne, could you like move your like back into the middle of the frame? Perfect. Okay. When you have your studio and then you're recording these budding artists, what happens to those recordings? Are they you know, we would love to play some of them. There's some of like words like swear words that we're not allowed to play, but we could see that there's beautiful art there, and we you know, how can the public access those recordings? Are they published? Are they available anywhere?
Good question. So right now we're coming out with a mixtape. We're working on the Circles and Ciphers mixtape. So as soon as the mixtape is done and is ready to be published, then, you know, like we're gonna put that out there. Like we're probably gonna put it on like streaming services and on our website. So yeah, you know, so just follow us on social media, you know, like check on our website on the regular, that we can give people updates on that mixtape, because that mixtape is gonna be fire. Also too, there's gonna be ways that people can like donate, you know, if they want to give money like for the mixtape, or if they want to like, you know, just like donate like money like for the whole process of us just putting it out, and for, you know, stuff like that, they can also donate and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, we got the mixtape coming out, so as soon as that's out, we're just gonna push that to the rest of the world, and like hopefully like we can send it to radio stations like this one.
Yes, definitely. Please do. We'll send you the address, and what so you do have our email as well. When you partner with organizations, do any of your partner organizations have help you with publishing the music, and yeah, and are they involved in the process of recording, etc.? And then if that, or if they are, what other roles do your partner organizations play? Like you could give us some examples, please.
So they haven't, so our partner organizations, they have not been involved in the recording process just yet, but we are pretty open-minded and imaginative when it comes to what our future looks like in this endeavor, you know. So if it looks like a live show at the P.O. Box Collective, you know, then that would be wonderful. You know, if it looks like filming a music video with street level, you know, like that would be awesome too. You know, I was a young person, a part of street level, you know, and so like we have like similar crowds, I would say. Yeah.
Street level, is that an organization?
That's also an organization, yes.
Okay.
But they focus on multimedia,
Mhm.
you know, which is a part of the arts.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we really look forward to your mixtape.
Thank you.
How has the work of circles and ciphers affected some families, as you know, as well as the youth?
Yes, because actually have a young person who started out in the beginning. They started out in the beginning of the program, and they have a family, and you know they were going through incarceration, and so. But the thing is, he had a family, you know, and so we were able to get in a position where we were able to get him on, not only able to just get him on electronic monitoring, but like we're at the point where now it's like he's able to have like free movement, you know, like I think five days a week or 7 days a week, I'm not sure, but yeah, he's able to have free movement now, you know. So like even being able to like see someone who was taken away from their family at first be reunited with their family, and to then gain some sense of we want to get this person off of electronic monitoring in general, but like yeah, just for them to be able to have that freedom, you know, and to still be in community with their family and to then be in community with us, that's one thing that I appreciate about the work that we do.
Mhm.
You know, it's keeping people together.
Are you able to describe to us how you were able to help get uh, get improve the conditions of the electronic monitoring? Did you have to prove that the person was uh, not a danger to the community? What did you have to do to help?
I remember us writing letters.
Mhm.
I remember us writing letters of recommendation for this young person. Right,
Mhm.
Marko? Yes.
Yeah. So we write just different like letters explaining like how the person has been working with circles and ciphers,
Mhm.
and just like explaining to them like how they're, such, like an important person for the community and like the work that we do. So when, we write these letters, they usually, you know, would give them like movement on certain days so they can still come to circles and ciphers. They can still record music. They can still come to freestyle circle. They can still come to open circle and some of the other programs that we have here. Um, yeah, because, like a lot of people that's on the band, like they don't get movement, and for the most part, they're just told to be in the house all day. And it's like certain days that they can like come out and do stuff, but for the most part, it's like they have to stay in the house. Um, but when we write these letters and stuff like that, like they usually give them the leeway to come on certain days to circles and ciphers. Um, so that's good that we also offer that service as well.
Mhm. Could you there might be some listeners that don't understand your circles. Let's get a little description about what your circles are, your freestyle, all that good stuff.
Yes. So on Tuesdays, we actually have we actually have freestyle circle, and so that's where young people, they're usually artists, they come in if they're usually interested in hip hop and rapping, and so freestyle is an exercise where you're basically coming up with rhymes and sentences off the top of your head, so I don't want to try that right now. I don't want to try that right now, but yeah, that's pretty much what that is. And so we engage, and so then Wednesdays it's open, it's a pretty much an open space circle where we allow we allow everyone that's in the community to come together, be in circle, be in community, and like talk about different issues and different things. So yeah, that's every Wednesday, from 3:30 to 5:30. Oh, and freestyle circle is also 3:30 to 5:30.
Awesome. So the community circle, that's more of a discussion rather than a performance of rapping or anything like that. It's more just discussion.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I guess that even during the freestyle, through the freestyle, you also see the issues pop out too.
Oh yeah, definitely. So during freestyle circle, we'll definitely kick it off with like a discussion around a certain topic. So let's say the theme is relationships, like we may ask a question like, um, what are some boundary, what is a boundary that is hard for you to maintain in a relationship, and then we'll go around with like a talking piece, we'll discuss it, and then when it's time to freestyle, we may want to keep up with the theme of relationships, so we may say, freestyle about a difficult time that you've had in any relationship, whether it be platonic, romantic, familial. So yeah, so we pretty much go there. And then sometimes we just let people just go ahead and freestyle. So yeah.
How has circles and ciphers affected the youth in their educational outcomes? At least some of them.
Man, that's such a good question. Well, there's this one story that I can remember. So just a couple years ago, we got invited to Notre Dame University, to do some circles and stuff like that. And we were also given the opportunity to meet with some of the professors that was there. And there were some youth that was from circles and ciphers that was able to get like a letter of like recommendation for university from some of the professors that was at Notre Dame. Yeah. So when we travel to universities and do our circles and perform and stuff like that, that's also another opportunity for the youth that come with us, to meet professors and get like letters of recommendation and just like see different universities that's outside of Illinois. So yeah, that was something that was pretty cool, because if that person, if they didn't get the opportunity to go to Notre Dame with us, they never would have got that letter of recommendation for the university. So yeah.
Hi, we also welcoming Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, to our conversation with circles and ciphers. Hello, Bill.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, Bill is still connecting to audio.
Hey. Hello.
Hello, Bill.
Hello.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
Great to see you too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be in with you guys. Who do we have here? We got.
We have Shayne and we have Marko.
Marko, yep.
Oh, Marko. Okay, cool. Very good. So the question I wanted to ask, I know that you guys are from all over the entire city. Rogers Park, Westridge, Uptown Englewood. You really represent the city well, and you're based in Rogers Park with your events. I was wondering, do you have everything that you need? You have your location. Are there any challenges? Are there any like boundaries that you find with circles and ciphers?
So that's a good question. So the first thing that comes to head, like would be funding, for like a lot of the different like projects and workshops that we would like to offer to the community. So I feel like the more funding that we have, the more work that we can do, and the more that we can really affect the community in a positive way. So really like the funding, but then like also too is just like the system in general just makes it so hard for kids that's incarcerated. Sometimes we try to send them care packages, they'll send them right back. Sometimes they'll kind of like stop us from doing like certain things and like trying to help people that's incarcerated. So I honestly think that it's just like those two, that's probably the ones that's coming up in my head first. Is really just funding and just the fact that the system is so hard to navigate sometimes.
And housing. Like we often encounter young people who are dealing with either housing or housing insecurity. And that's something that's really, really, really hard to like come across in this day and age, especially with like inflation, and I think the homeless rate, like it's astronomical here in America. So
and then with as for housing, do you feel like there is a solution? Do you have an idea of the solution? And also, what kind of housing are you referring to? Are you referring to people who do not have homes, or people transitioning from living with their parents, or what do you mean exactly by housing?
I definitely mean both people who are without a home, people who may have been kicked out of their homes because their parents don't accept them, or they don't have a good relationship, or they just don't have parents in general, or people that's in community that cares about them, and to me, I personally, in my personal opinion, I believe that housing should be like a free thing. I don't think people should have to be like paying for a place to stay. And if we do have to pay for a place to stay, you can't tell me that a studio apartment should be anywhere near like over $1,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the rent, the price of rent is just like unrealistic, and so I think we could spend a whole 2 hours with my thoughts on this, but like I really just feel like we need to divest from capitalist structures and profit and things that have to do with like profit over people. That's my opinion.
So you believe we need more free housing, because housing is a human right, and we also need affordable housing. And how are you guys doing with resources for housing?
That's the thing. Like it's really hard for us to find. Marko, did we find housing for a young person recently?
So we have a few connections for housing, some shelters that's around the city. But the problem is that a lot of these shelters is like they fill up so fast, and like sometimes they don't like get back with us in time. So we have a few connections when it comes to housing. But I personally like feel like it's not really enough connections. I feel like there should be more like organizations that's really like actively like trying to help with housing for young people. But there's a limitation with it. So there's a couple of young people that we got some housing for this year. Like, but it's never like a stable fit, like they'll probably be there for like a few months and then like leave and have to find another place. And it's never like a stable, like permanent thing. You know what I'm saying?
And Marko, I think that really hits the nail on the head. Maybe not the permanent fit. Maybe some of the places, you got to find a place that's safe and a place that really works. I know that a lot of these places for housing, they have curfews maybe, or they have different rules that people do not want to go with. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I think that safety is probably the biggest factor. Because I heard stories from the young people that come to our space, and they say that sometimes when they're in this space, they got to deal with fights, and like certain like situations where their life may be in danger. Like sometimes maybe people, that's in the shelter that can be like stealing their stuff or like trying to like approach them and like, all this crazy stuff. So that's the number one thing. And then like another thing too is that a lot of these places, they don't really understand like the mind of somebody that's been incarcerated and just all of the trauma and like PTSD that comes with that. So when it comes, to their mental health and just like dealing with things like that, they also hit a wall with that as well. I feel like that because a lot of these places like, just don't understand them, I feel like. Yeah,
I've heard about that. And then I guess the next issue that's kind of with that, since I really want to get your perspective on these is jobs and employment. Are you come across people in circles and ciphers that need jobs as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. We definitely come across young people. I definitely work closely with the young people that like need help when it comes to that. Like we've connected them with programs such as YJC, the Youth Job Center.
That's in Evanston, right?
Which is in Evanston, yes. And so and then also we were connected with the Howard Center at one point, which is how I started coming to Circles and Ciphers, which is through the Howard Center, because at that time I was looking for work. I didn't know I could work for Circles and Ciphers, but here I am now. So yeah.
And we've worked with the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. We've worked with the Howard Area Community Center. Is that the one you're referring to on Morse Avenue, or or the one near Howard and Ashland?
The one on Morse Avenue.
Okay.
Yes.
We've worked with them as well. Well, thank you so much. I really I needed your perspective because there are so many resources out there, and I'm trying to find resources and help people. And I know what you're doing with Circles and Ciphers. It's wonderful. And I love your circles and your ciphers. Maybe you could you just go through? I came a little bit late on the interview. What your circles are?
So every Tuesday we have Freestyle Circle, and Freestyle Circle is where young people who are mainly artists, like they come together. We all come together. And like we'll put on a beat and we'll like freestyle rap to it. And freestyle, for folks who may be listening or watching and don't know, freestyle is a style of rap whereas you're basically rhyming multiple sentences together, but you're coming up with things off the top of your head. Like it's from the dome, like it's not written or anything like that. So yeah, we'll do topic discussions on Tuesdays as well, but it's mainly freestyling. And then Wednesday we have open space circle, and that's where everybody that's in the community can come together, be in circle, be in community with one another, talk about the issues that we all can relate to, and break bread. So yeah.
And that sounds like you're building community.
Absolutely. That is the goal. And another way that we're building community is we have a block party on August 27th from 2 to 8 p.m. It's going to be live performances, food, hip hop, restorative justice, all of that beautiful stuff. And we're going to connect y'all with some resources because we have tables for days. Live performances start at 5 o'clock. It's gonna be so exciting. Y'all are going to be exposed to the beauty of artists in Chicago.
Yes. And where is it going to be?
So this is going to be across the street from our base location. But it's gonna be on 1615 West Morse.
All right. And what is across the street?
Parking lot across the street.
Oh, the parking lot. Okay. I see. The parking lot is going to be on Morse. Okay, I understand. The parking lot right there, around the front of the church, across the street from the front of the United Church of Rogers Park.
Absolutely.
That's big. That's a big place.
Oh yes, there's gonna be a lot of big things happening on the 27th. Oh, and you do not want to miss out.
Can I come?
You are all welcome to come.
For everybody to come, yeah.
The doors to the church is open, or the doors to the circle is open, I should say.
All right.
Yes. So this is gonna be fun.
We'll put it on the calendar, Bill.
All right.
Yes. Perfect. And I sent y'all the flyer today too.
Yes, thank you for that. We'll share it around.
Thank you so much.
I do have another question. Do you have time to stay for a bit yet?
For sure. I have time for another question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you, the Circles and Ciphers, have a special mentor that meant a lot to you?
Oh, wow. So many mentors for me. Marko, do you want to go first? Because I could go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. So the first person that comes to mind is Evan. So there's this guy that's named Evan. So back when I first came to Circles and Ciphers, was kind of like a hard time for me. Because I was making music and I really love music, but I didn't know like which like direction to go in life. So when I first came to Circles and Ciphers, there was a young leader by the name of Evan that really just took me under his wing. And he got me acclimated inside the freestyle circle, like where we would just freestyle for hours and hours and hours and just like get it all out. So like Evan just taught me a lot about just like expression and like being able to talk about my feelings and like actually having like a direction in life. And I'm not the only person that he's affected. He's affected like a lot of us that's still here with Circles and Ciphers, like to this day. But some of the teachings and some of the energy and like some of the spirit that he has is some of this, the same spirit that I embody. Like when I talk to the young people that come in our program now, because the type of leadership that he had is what influenced me to be, the kind of leader that I am today. So shout out to Evan. I think a couple years ago, he transitioned and he went to college in like Connecticut. Like in Connecticut. So like he went to graduate school and like went on to do like a whole bunch of like dope stuff. So he passed us the torch and we've been running with it ever since. So yeah, man, shout out to Evan. for everything that he's done for us.
And I'm going to say Marko, only because I feel like, because I feel like, when I first went into this, I didn't believe that I could be a talented artist at first, and so it really took me some growing points and some time, even for me to like believe in myself. And then on top of that, like when you're doing this work, it's almost like you really got to figure out how to like balance between like your personal life, this work, and also like a music career, like it all felt impossible for me at first, but I see Marko doing it and I'm just like, hey, I got the same 24 hours in the day as Marko Stats. So I'm just like, I can do it too, period. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's leading by example.
Exactly, that's important.
Are there any departments of the city of Chicago or other governmental agencies that have assisted with the development of circles and ciphers?
No, it was mainly three people in Circle's inception. It was Miriam Kaba, it was Emmanuel Andre, and it was Ethan Ucker, and so these were people who like came together in the beginning at the United Church of Rogers Park, and like they just wanted to hold circle, be in community with young people. That's how it started in the beginning. Like I think it was like rival gangs who were like against each other, and like Emmanuel like kind of like brought them together in the same circle, and it's just like in a situation like that, it's just like, okay, they might not be friends, in the streets, but it's like here, it's like you have the talking piece. I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to treat you how I would want to be treated, and like, where our young people, like they have their moments in circle, but at the same time, it's like we all have a mutual understanding that we don't bring anything into the space that we aren't ready to resolve, and so because of that, that room for resolution is always there.
Did you find that because those rival gang members were communicating in the circle, did that improve the rivalry lesson as a result of that at all?
I think that, well, for me, I didn't start showing up until like 2017. But from what I've heard, there were definitely, it got to a point where the respect started to be there for folks in the community. It's like you could walk down the street, and it's like you might not be friends, but it's like you could give each other that like mutual respect, which is the thing that's like important in RJ. Like, you may resolving conflicts doesn't mean a restoration of the relationship, which you can have, but both people have to like choose that, and so if they don't choose that, then it's like, okay, how can we be in community with each other and respect one another?
And as long as there's a will to try that restorative community, then there's still a possibility for improvement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What about the local police, such as the 24th district in Rogers Park? Have they reached out at all to Circles and Ciphers?
Oh no, so we don't do work with the police.
Believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we
I
mainly
understand.
do work with we mainly do work with young people and like folks who are in our communities,
Mm-hmm.
as we believe that like, you know, police actually do more harm than good, you know, especially in situations where there's a mental health crisis and they're really not needed. So like the one of our many goals at Circles and Ciphers, and the goal of any like abolitionist organization, is to open the minds of our community and to like foster that imagination of like what does safety in community look like when it's not just prison, when it's not just police, or when it's not punitive. You know, what does it look like for us to come together, take responsibility for our communities, and like be willing to have those tough conversations so we can get to a resolve, so that way we don't have to resort to, you know, harmful, inhumane practices when it comes to dealing with harm in our communities.
That kind of brings us back to those care packages that you were mentioning that you try to send to youth. I think that we heard on the news recently that they're trying to stop care packages. So if they were to stop, then these youth, or they wouldn't be able to have any access to the things that they need, like such as you give them some money to buy things in in jail, like just the basic like water, toothpaste, and toothbrushes.
Yeah.
If those care packages are not there, then how could the youth even how could they survive without the basic necessities? And I guess other jail inmates too, they have to pay for everything as well.
Yeah. Man, that's such a good question. I feel, like if they take the care package away, then that would be a huge like loss and just like devastation to a lot of the youth that's behind bars. Because the care packages is what they rely on. Because like I was saying earlier, like a lot of these people come from backgrounds like where they just can't afford to just keep on like paying for everything inside of jail. um their families are not rich, like we're all like struggling to a certain extent. So that's something that I didn't hear about, but if they do take the care packages away, then that'll be devastating. But at the same time, I think that's something that we can navigate and kind of like figure out, other ways that we can help them and kind of like move past it, because we can still put money on their books and stuff like that.
Mhm.
um but the care packages are also like essential. So yeah, that would be a huge loss. But like I was like also saying like earlier too, like sometimes the system is just hard to navigate, with all the laws and the rules that's being passed. It's almost like they're trying to like stop us from doing the work, what I'm saying, completely. So yeah.
Do you know if the care packages are open and checked before they're given to the inmates?
Yeah.
Oh, well then
Yeah.
there's really no reason for the care packages to stop then if they're already checked.
I know, like, but I don't know, like from my experience, I feel like the jails and just like the government in general just always make like unnecessarily rules. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just like a thing that's like that. Like we're just kind of just one of those rules that they just want to make because they got the power to. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know, from what you described, I haven't heard this before, actually. I've heard about the care packages, and I've heard about the financial and the internal financial system inside of prisons. But now that you alerted me to the fact that you can put money on their books to spend in the prison, but your care packages to give them the things that they need without buying them within the prison is being blocked. It sounds like a prison profit system. And is that legal? And also another thing is, oh shoot. Oh, another thing is also, how are you sending the packages? Are they being mailed, or are they being delivered?
So yes, they're being mailed. So we mail them out to the jails, and then so they show up in the jails, and then from the jails is when they like send them to each individual that they're intended to.
So I heard about like toothbrushes could be, fashioned into a shiv or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know anything about what's going on in there, but I would imagine that there's some prohibitive items in the prison system. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, you just enlightened me that you can give them money to spend in the prison, but if you're going to give them goods so that they don't have to spend inside of the prison, they're prohibiting it, and they're just making profit, it seems.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it that way, but I think that does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's profitable to keep people in prison. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that, like, our taxes are going into like putting people in prison, when like that can be put towards like things such as education, affordable health care, housing, for God's sakes. You know what I'm saying? Like things that
You actually, yeah, that's okay.
sorry, things that actually benefit, like, the wellness and the betterment of communities, so that crime, quote unquote, crime stops. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole point is that when you have all of these things that make a community well off, as to where folks within that community don't have to go out, don't have to go without, thus resulting to them committing harm, it's like they don't want us to like have enough resources to put them out of a job. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not profitable for them, to keep people out of prison, then they're going to make up whatever stupid law that they need to make up so that they can catch somebody breaking it, thus getting them caught up in the system. So it's just like, it's a whole thing, and like we have to like really tap into our imaginations when it comes to what's possible for us. And I don't have all the answers. No one abolitionist does, but that's like the whole purpose. It's us coming together as a community, and like I said, listening to each other, and like opening our minds to what the possibilities are for us as humanity.
Was there WZRD Chicago? Oh, this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and we have with us at WZRD via Zoom Shayne and Marko from Circles and Ciphers, and also Bill Morton from the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. WZRD Chicago, being a nonprofit radio station, must be responsible to the community we serve. WZRD is mandated to file quarterly issues with the FCC on non-entertainment, community-focused programming. We like to assess the community for these quarterly issue topics with 3 questions. First, what is most important to you, Shayne and Marko?
What's most important to me is freedom and the right to transformation and change and growth and abolition.
What's most important to me is love, family, community. Also, just having the opportunity to build legacy is also really important to me.
Mhm. What long-term problem must we address?
I think, man, I say the system, we got to figure out the system in some way, because from my experience, I just feel like the system is not like made like for people that look like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a firm believer that it's like, like if the system is unfair to one person, then it's really unfair to everybody, right? So I'm not really sure if there's gonna be a day where things are more fair, you know what I'm saying, to Black people and just like people that come from certain backgrounds and stuff like that, because it's always gonna like lean like towards another way or like side or like lean towards a certain group of people, like that's just how life is. Yeah, like so I'm hoping one day when I'm an old man or when my daughter's like grown and like going to college or something like that, that this world would be better for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I would say, oh, sorry, Trudy.
No, I was just
sorry,
asking you.
sorry.
No. I was just saying, what about you, Shayne? That's all.
I would say that definitely, I feel like capitalism is a problem in and of itself. I think that it needs to be abolished. And a lot of people talk about Martin Luther King, but they forget the part where he said that capitalism has outlived its usefulness. And this was probably 1968 or before 1968 when he was shot. This is 2022. It's far outlived its usefulness, and so I think that there needs to be something new in place that just puts people, just help each other. Just help each other. Just make sure everyone is good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And like let's do things like that. Like let's prioritize human wellness, so that way we can have the capacity to like be more innovative and come up with new things that benefit us more. So that way we can reduce harm. Because we can't get rid of harm entirely. It's just a part of us. We all cause harm. But the question is, what can we do to greatly reduce it? So yeah.
That almost leads into the last question. Third, what problem must be resolved now?
Ooh. You said, say that again, please.
What problem must be resolved now? The second question was what long-term problem must we address? But the final question is what problem must be resolved now?
Marko, do you want to answer this first? Go ahead.
Yeah. Just going back to the issue with the care packages, like if that's something that they're really trying to stop, then hopefully like we can figure out a way not to make that happen. So I think like that's a short-term like problem, that can like kind of get resolved if we like knew how to go about it the correct way. So that's the first thing that comes to mind, to be honest, is those care packages. We got to make sure that they keep those care packages. That's important.
Yes. And for me, I think that like more people, I think something that's more realistic right now, I think that more people just need to like, as much as we're encouraged to vote, like we need to be encouraged to be getting involved or getting to know our local abolitionist organization. or local things going on in our community, you know, staying informed. I think that can like resolve a multitude of things. Because if somebody has a need that you can't fulfill, but you know somebody that can, like that's the key. That's the key to what we need right now.
To work together to bring resources to one another is what you're saying.
Exactly.
When you talk about abolitionists, could you define that for us before we leave?
Yes. So an abolitionist is someone who is against the prison industrial, who wants to get rid of the prison industrial complex and like replace it with something that's actually humane, such as resources to education, healthcare, housing, wellness, you know, mental health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of the things that you need in order to properly function as a human being.
Got it. Well, please let's wrap this up by providing our listeners with your contact information again, and also information about the block party for any of our listeners that arrived late.
Yes, so our block party is on August 27th from 2 to 8 p.m. Live performances start at 5. We're going to be on 1615 West Morse on August 27th. And if you want more information about us, you can check us out at circlesandciphers.org. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Or if you want to ask us a question directly, you can come up to us. We're on 1545 West Morse, or you can email us at circles.ciphers@gmail.com. And to sign up for studio time at Kaba Studios, because we have a recording studio, you can email us at marko@circlesandciphers.org. And to donate, you can log on to circlesandciphers.org as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Shayne Khaalil and Marko Stats and Bill Morton, the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and of course, Shayne Khaalil and Marko Stats of Circles and Ciphers. Thank you so much for joining us at WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM today, and for all the wonderful information that you provided to our listeners. Thank you very much, and be safe.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank y'all. Take care.
Thank you.